One day I'm going to do that, and then I'm just going to turn the camera over to you, and I'm just going to be gone for the next 20 minutes.
And I'll be like,
The one-man band.
yeah.
Oh, threat.
How,
Yep.
yes.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. Paul, two things I need to note here
Yep.
before we get started. Yesterday, they released a massive PubG update. You can now
Okay.
play it on the test server. There's a couple things that are a little wonky, but it is it's pretty good.
In what way?
Well, there's new weapons, there's new vehicles, there's new attachments.
Is there better performance?
Yeah, actually, I don't know if it's placebo or not or whatever, but it definitely feels like the performance is better. They like to use the word optimized a lot, and I feel like this is more optimized than the last major update. And there's some HDR lighting things or whatever going on that are screwed up. One of the match, so you can play a level or whatever, a map, in like different times of the day. And if you get one at sunset or dusk or whatever the hell they call it, everything is a very lovely shade of orange. It's a little, it's a little Tatooine, if you will. Maybe Sahara Desert, like just whatever.
I'm going to bring it up and look at it.
It's on the. You need the playtest server, so it's not the actual game yet.
So how does that work, though? How do you?
So if you've bought PUBG on the Xbox One. You can go to the store and download. It's called I think PUBG PTS or Play Test Server, and so this is their insider ring, if you will. This is where they push out a large update, let people play with it, then they'll make tweaks after like a week or so, and then push it to everybody. But
all right, I'll check that out later. Can I do that from within the app, or do I have to literally go to the store and look for this thing?
I think you have to actually go to the store and look for it.
Okay.
Which, just type in PUBG.
Yeah.
You'll find it. The other thing is, too, I want to kill the neighbor that let his dog poop in my yard without cleaning it up this morning because I cut my grass and I saw this, and now I want to buy a security camera that can allow me to publicly shame this person. But I just haven't done it yet. It's going to happen.
Should I tell my story about when this happened to me 15 years ago?
You got to keep it quick. Family show, but yes.
So, when we first moved into our house in Dedham, we didn't have a fence yet, and I would go out and mow the lawn, and there would be dog poo on the lawn like every day. And one day I was in the kitchen making breakfast or making coffee or whatever, and I saw the dog taking a dump on the lawn. So I ran outside to see where it went, and it ran down the street to a neighbor's house, 4 or 5 houses down. And obviously it's illegal to have a dog off a leash, but what this person had been doing was letting their dog out every morning so it could go to the bathroom. It would run up to my house, use my yard as a toilet, and then go back home. So I grabbed one of those little brown paper bags you put a kid's lunch in, put the poop in it, walked down the street, knocked on the door. Woman answered in her bathrobe. I handed her the bag of poop, and I said, "If your dog takes a crap on my lawn again, I'm going to kill it." And then I walked away.
That is called the dream, folks. That is what I would like to do.
Yeah. By the way, that solved the problem. It never happened again. Yeah.
This is what I would like to do.
I wanted to get a sign for my lawn that said, "Dear neighbors, if I wanted dog poop on my lawn, I would buy my own dog. Thanks."
And before anybody says, "Hey, Brad, you just got a dog. Maybe it was your dog." If my dog pooped out something this size,
exactly.
It would be half its body weight. Like this came from a horse or a bear-sized dog.
Yeah, my dog. We have a big dog. That dog takes bigger than human-sized dumps. It's not good. It's not. And by the way, we clean up after this animal.
Yeah, but because we haven't talked about fecal matter enough, Paul, Google is saying that because of the Spectre fun stuff, Chrome. I didn't think this was possible. Is going to use more RAM.
I know, 10 to 13% more.
Yeah.
There are further fixes coming, by the way, because there are other Spectre-like attacks that they're going to try to mitigate at the browser level. It's kind of interesting to me that they're doing this, but I guess one of the big attack vectors is the web, and also, well, maybe the attack vector. Also, of course, Chrome is the basis for their own computing platform, Chrome OS. So the fixes that they made, which appeared in Chrome 67, I think it was released right at the end of May, very beginning of June, includes this mitigation and a 10 to 13% jump in system resource usage. I would say the number one complaint against Chrome probably is what is it? Memory usage.
Yeah.
So it's not good. But what are you going to do?
Buy more RAM? I mean, that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Although I keep thinking about if I'm going to upgrade mine. I think I've got 32 gigs of RAM and I could go to 64.
No, there was no way you would ever need.
Don't get me wrong. There is no reason to do this, but I could.
You can't, but you could, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't really have a honking workstation class computer going on anymore. So like the thing I'm using now is just a Core i5, but it does it? I was gonna say it does have 16 gigs of RAM in it. I hope it does. Yes, it does. So yeah, I think 16 for a desktop. I think 8. If you're just traveling every once in a while, 8's pretty good on a laptop. Although 16, obviously is better.
Yep. You can always have more though. I mean, 16's good, but 32 would definitely not hurt.
As a young man, I was in an Amiga store in Wellesley, Massachusetts, and I heard a guy talking about the then new Amiga 3000, which at the time was their high-end kind of workstation class computer. And the amounts of RAM you could put in these things were ludicrously low by today's standard. I want to say, and of course, Amiga had different kinds of RAM. So it was chip RAM, and I can't remember the other name, the other one, system RAM, whatever it was. But I remember the guy, it was like 5 megabytes of some kind of 5 megabytes of RAM. And that was like a big new amount. And I remember this guy who worked at the store was saying to one of the, he said, if I was buying this, I would get all the RAMs. And I was like, nope. No, you wouldn't.
Yeah. But a nice segue here. Speaking of RAMs,
yep.
Apple has quietly, or not so quietly, if you will, updated this thing, the MacBook Pro here. And, well, we'll get to the last part in a second, but it's now running Intel 8th Gen Core processors on the both 15-inch and 13-inch, but on the 15-inch, you can get a 6-core, 2.6 gigahertz turbo boost up to 4.3, and on the 13-inch, you can get a quad-core. The 15-inch model is now supposedly 70% faster, while the 13-inch is up to twice as fast. And you can now also get, speaking of 32 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of RAM in a laptop with 2 terabyte SSD, or on the 13-inch up to a 4 terabyte. Oh, wait, I said that backwards. 32 gigs of RAM on the 15-inch, a 2 terabyte SSD on the 13-inch, and up to a 4 terabyte SSD. Are you playing Call of Duty?
No, I'm looking for that thing in the store while you were talking.
4 terabytes. Okay. But crucially here, Paul, Apple says the new MacBook Pros come with an improved keyboard. This is a 3rd generation, but it still has the same butterfly switch that was just recalled, but it has a
so this is a big deal on a number of levels. By the way, one little tip if you are thinking about buying one of these things, the base model 13-inch versions are still the previous gen chipset, so it's still dual core. Those have not been upgraded. So you have to get a MacBook Pro that has a touch bar on it, right? So that's all 15-inch versions, and then the higher end. Basically, the starting price of these new devices is $2,000, $2,400 if you're looking at the 15-inch version. This is, it's expensive.
Yikes! I am looking at them right now.
They're very expensive. Well, they always have been. But the keyboard is going to be the key to me. So the keyboard, I bought one of these. You may recall, whenever that was, some months ago, and returned it. And for 3 reasons, 2 related to the keyboard. One, I bought the 15-inch version. I like larger laptops. I found that thing to be really big, and I don't know what the deal is with that. I just found it to be very big and bulky. But the bigger issue for me was the keyboard. For day-to-day use, it was just too loud. It's crazy how loud those things were. And then the other issue is the reliability problem, which is it's not a recall, but Apple's fixing these things for free. The last thing you want to do is be on a plane heading to some business trip and have a crumb get under the key, and then the whole keyboard is unusable anymore. So I don't know if this 3rd gen keyboard version has fixed that problem. I hope so. That's an endemic issue. But I had seen something about customers were bringing in their keyboards to get them replaced by Apple, and someone examined the underside of them to see what had changed. And they actually added like what is basically an O-ring around the inside of it, which dampened the sound a little bit too. So it seemed like the replacement keyboards were quieter than the original ones because they're really clacky, like they're really loud. And so I'll see. I mean, I don't know. This is a tough purchase for me to make. It's like, honey, Could I spend $2,000 on a Mac that I may use occasionally, please? Is a tough conversation to have with a spouse.
Yep. And so let's just walk through the spec list here, because some of them are a little absurd. So the machine I'm looking at here is a 15-inch Space Gray, $2799, the higher end model.
Yeah.
If you want to go from a 2.6 gigahertz 6-core to a 2.9 gigahertz, that's a $300 option.
For 0.3 gigahertz.
Yeah.
Or whatever that works out.
To go from 16 to 32 gigs of RAM is $400, which that is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but
that's about right. That's about right.
It doesn't seem absurd compared to some of these other this next one. Paul, to go from 512 gigabytes SSD storage to 4 terabytes.
4 terabytes.
Yeah.
Is it 4 terabytes of
SSD?
Solid state?
Yeah.
Wow. That's got to be two.
How much do you think that option is?
Well, just like a 512 gig, NVMe. Well, they probably use their own kind of solid state, whatever it is. But NVMe class storage, which is what they would use, is got to be in the $400 or $500 range right there. So, I mean, this thing could be $1,500. I can't even imagine.
You're not even halfway there at $1,500.
Really?
$3,200 to go from 512 SSD to a 4 terabyte.
See, I would have thought the max ceiling on this was going to be, you said, well, I'm sorry, 4 terabytes.
Yeah.
So in my head, I did 4 times the cost of what I thought Apple would charge for 512. So actually, it should have been 8 times. But I was thinking the max would have been about $2,000.
Yeah, it seems like sweet spot, if you will, is probably the 2 terabyte, because that is only a mere $1,200 option.
Yeah, you got to remember though. So these guys are using Thunderbolt 3 now. This is a mobile workstation. It's something you could plug into a dock, and it could be a literal workstation. They're also selling a third-party eGPU, like external GPU, that will turn it into a real game machine. If that's what not that there are a lot of games on a Mac, but it gives you that additional graphics capability. And I think the point of all that storage is for those people that would use it that way, right? This is something to hold people over because they don't really have a good Mac Pro anymore. And this is a dockable device that could serve that function. It's an incredible amount of storage.
Yeah, I mean, you could go the iMac Pro too. They still have that, but
that's true.
So if you, and this does not include the software like Final Cut or anything else like that, if you max out the specs on this thing, it is a smitten $6,700 for a laptop.
Yeah, but you'd also want the external display, some kind of a dock. But, Apple's displays are reasonably priced, so that's probably pretty good.
With it, they don't make them anymore.
That's true. That's right.
They don't.
That's
You have to buy a third party, which is...
Yeah.
So
they should still make displays. In the same way that Microsoft should with Surface.
Yep.
I think there's a market for an Apple-branded iMac-style display that would match your equipment. And I think, especially in the fashion-conscious world of premium computing, especially Apple, but also, Surface. I think there's call for that.
Yeah, if I could detach the... I've actually even thought about this. This is a complete waste of money, so don't listen to this. Figuring out if I could turn the Surface Studio into just a monitor and hooking it up to my desktop.
So the computer I'm using right now is an HP Elite 1. It's an all-in-one computer. It has a beautiful 4K 28-inch display, I think a 27-inch display. You can use it just as a display. In fact, it's a modular device. I guess you could pop the stick out and with this display on it and put it on a base, and you could use it as a display. And I'm thinking about doing that because, like I said, it's only a Core i5, but I've been having problems with it. Yesterday, it blue screened in the middle of Windows Weekly. Today, for the second day in a row, I came out here this morning. You hit the control key so the screen pops back to life. It never comes back. You're like, hello, what's going on? And this is just running 1803. It's nothing special. But it's one of those things like as part of my 1803 data, I had issues with this thing. I think it was the networking chipset. I had to go Intel and do special tools and figure out how to install that stuff. I'm sure what happened was Patch Tuesday happened. It reverted to whatever the Microsoft thing is off of Windows Update. Now everything's broken again. And like this is the, I just want a computer that works. But this display is the thing you can't see. The thing I'm looking at is freaking awesome.
Yep.
And I might do that. So anyway, I guess it's possible. It's possible.
I love the.
Does it do video in? Does Surface Studio support video?
I don't know. I'm thinking about this now. If I could actually get away with, if this would work.
Cannibalizing it, like turn the bottom of it into an aquarium.
Hey.
Right. This is my new $3,000 display.
Congrats. Yeah. And then was there something else on the show notes? I can't remember. Oh yeah, the dongle life. There's some. I didn't even see these, but what were they? There's new dongles from Microsoft because why not?
Well, Microsoft never announced them. You know, when you think back to that thing we went to, we never saw that power supply. They never talked about dongles. They're talking about these beautiful color coordinated mice and everything. But honestly, pragmatically, for most people, like this dongle thing is really important. So Best Buy, for some reason, has these things listed. They're not on the Microsoft store yet. I'm sure they will be soon, but it's just your basic dongle. So there's the USB-C to USB-A adapter like everyone would need. It looks a little bit like one of those Xbox wireless dongle things. And then there's a slightly bigger one that has both Ethernet and USB-A on it, which is probably the second most common use case. But what they really need is like a 3-piece adapter that has HDMI out, Ethernet, and then USB-A. And I'm kind of confused they don't have that.
There you go.
Sorry, just as a tip, again, you know, it's USB-C, so anything works. The example I use is I got this thing with my Huawei MacBook 10, which I'm sure they'll be asking back soon. I'm not going to mention it until they do, but this is a nice little dongle that has everything I just described, plus VGA, and then the USB things on it. And that's the beauty of Thunderbolt and USB-C too. You just plug the one plug, you get everything. It's nice.
Fantastic. I
the NBA. It's fantastic.
I don't know what that was. All right, you got anything else for today, Mr. Pothrat?
No. How about you?
Nothing.
All right. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm going to find this PTS thing.
Yeah, and enjoy yourself.
I'll see you there.